Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Seekers of the Supernatural. I'll be your moderator tonight. My name is Tony Spera. We'll be talking to America's top Ghostbusters, Ed and Lorraine Warren. They've been involved in supernatural research, paranormal, and supernatural research for over 40 years. We'd like to present tonight's show with an introduction of the Warrens. So we'd like to start first with you, Ed, if we could. I'd like to ask you, especially, how did you get involved in the area of the supernatural and haunted houses?
Well, Tony, it came about because of the fact that I lived in a haunted house as a boy from 5 until 12. My father, who was a police officer at that time, was kind of a strict guy, but he was a very fair man. And he'd always say to me, Ed, there's a logical reason for everything that happens in this house. But when I was lying in bed there as a young kid, and that closet door would open up at night, it would wake me up. I'd look in there and see a large globule-like ball, and then a face of an elderly lady in that ball. That's a ghost light. And she wasn't looking pleasant, Tony. Next thing, it would come out of that closet toward my bed. I'd hear footsteps. I would feel this icy coldness in the room and heavy breathing. And I'm thinking to myself, there's a logical reason for all of this. But somehow, by the time I thought that, I was halfway to my parents' bedroom.
Oh, boy.
So that's how it all started, all these here experiences that I had as a boy.
So you've been doing this for well over 40 years.
Yeah, 40 long years throughout the United States, Canada, Mexico, into Europe. Spent a lot of time in Great Britain and Scotland.
Wow. As Catholics, Ed, you and your wife both are Catholic. How did this work coincide with your religious beliefs?
Well, it goes right along with it because, you know, Catholicism is based on a supernatural world, as every great religion is. Open up the Bible, and it's full of psychic words such as spirits, ghosts, apparitions, levitations. So, you know, as a boy going to a parochial school, I would ask the nuns and the priests, what is this about ghosts, the supernatural? Is it for real? Are there really devils? And of course, you know, Catholicism teaches us that these things are real. So I based all of my beliefs on that, and I still do today. When I go into a home, I'm not looking for devils. I'm not looking for ghosts. What I'm looking for is a natural explanation as to what's going on. Something physical in the house. Only when I find that there is something supernatural, something paranormal, do I accept it. And that has to be proven to me 100%. I have to see a table moving across the room. I have to hear those spirit voices. I have to see the ghost. People like Lorraine here who are clairvoyants, they have to tell me what's there because I do not have the sixth sense as they do.
So in other words, Ed, what you're saying is that you act more like an investigator, a skeptic investigator?
Right. Investigators, we're sort of like the police department of the supernatural world. We find out what's going in there and then we try to rectify it. If it's a human spirit who's causing the problem, this is easy to take care of. If it's something inhuman, something diabolical, then we have to go in for the big guns. We have to go to the religious beliefs of Catholicism, Protestantism, Mohammedanism, all of these. And you know, it's not just the Catholic priests that we work with. We work with rabbis, we work with ministers of all faiths. We're very ecumenical in our thinking.
Now, Lorraine, Ed had said, and I know this from personal experience also, that you are a clairvoyant also. Can you tell me, Lorraine, the first time that you knew, or was it just from birth? How did you know that you were clairvoyant?
No, it started, Tony, when I was probably about 9 years old, when I first had experiences where I could see lights around people. But the lights that I could see around people, I thought everybody could see that. I didn't know anything about the human aura, and it started from that point where I would see that. Now, I had nobody to share that with. I was brought up in a private Catholic school, and you couldn't share things like that with the nuns.
I wouldn't think you could.
No, that was very much frowned upon. And if I tried at home, although I was brought up in a very loving Irish Catholic home, it was fine as long as it was like a joke and lighthearted. But if it was never anything to be discussed seriously. So it was really as a young adult when I met Ed that I began
that was a
to
lucky day.
That was your lucky day.
That's when her ghostly life started.
In my ghostly life. See, most of our courtship, Tony, we were kids, and it was through mail because Ed entered the service soon after we met, and we were married while he was still in service, and our daughter was born while he was still in active duty. So it was when he came home from the service, really, and one of the first homes that I ever went in. And that was not easy for me because my Catholic faith was very important to me, and I kind of frowned on things about Ed telling me about haunted houses because that just did not fit in. As far as I was brought up to believe, when you died, you either went to a purgatory state or you went to heaven. But you were definitely with the oneness with God.
Or you went someplace else.
Yes, but I didn't like to think about things like that. But I didn't know about hauntings because I was never connected what I felt and experienced to haunted homes or any role that I could play. But Tony, the very first home that I ever experienced psychic phenomena in was the Ocean-born Mary house, the painting that's right there in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that home was in Henniker, New Hampshire. And it was in that home, I was at that time maybe about 20, 21 years old, and I had my first out of the body.
Boy, that was young, you know. 20,
Yeah,
21 years.
that was
we thought we were
real
pretty
young.
old then.
Yeah, we did. Well, we thought we knew what it was all about. But you know, Tony, you asked about Catholicism before, and I think our work has greatly enhanced our faith, truthfully.
Now, you spoke earlier, Lorraine, when you were speaking of your clairvoyance about a person's aura. Can you explain to us, to the audience, what the human aura is?
The